dinner last night with a Chinese Lieutenant General from the National Defence University. China is getting into Africa in a big way. No one else is. Interesting. I wonder why they think that's a place to go in the future. And of course, underpinning all that is global financial crisis. As I say, restructure and take the pain, go Weimar and have rapid inflation that will do the restructuring for you. What should be called creative destruction. Alright, our region. We step down from the whole world and already got a picture of the world's a big, bad, nasty place that's uncertain and unclear and difficult to know and difficult to bet on. And if you really want to get people to understand about the future, ask them to put their money on an investment. That's when you get people really serious about understanding what the future might look like. That list of people through there just says our region's no better. Our region, we're a feeder region in some respects, although it depends how you cut it. And President Obama coming today and tomorrow is talking about 4 biggest trading partners in the world are sitting in our region, between Japan, the US, China, all major players, all major influences on us. And then you come down to our near neighbours, where we're expected to do our bit as well. Solomons, Timor, PNG, General Power, the head of the Joint Operations Command, he's refocusing Joint Operations Command, saying you're too seduced by the big war. We're going to have to fight this, not war in PNG, but stability in PNG. If it falls over, who do you reckon is going to be called to come to the party to fix that? And whilst you've all been seduced by the current operation, there is something else happening out here that we're taking our eye off the ball. We need to be careful how we battle guns. So much PNG. And then all the major strategic issues around geostrategy, around the sea lines of communication. How does oil get to the Middle East and China and Japan? Guess what? By sea. Guess who controls the sea lanes? Just about everyone on the way. Why do you think we want more submarines to be able to look at the sea lines of communication? So that's the big issue. So again, that's more context for you. And then Australia. Let me go back. And Australia. Amongst all of this, Australia is trying to find its role in the world. Australia is trying to say, are we a big partner with the US? How does that work with our alliance? And oh, by the way, we're trading with China, and that affects our economy. We still have aspirations in NATO, and we're increasing our engagement with NATO through Afghanistan and other NATO forums. We have responsibilities as a big kid in the block in our region. We have responsibilities for the rest of the world. We're selling now uranium to India just today. I mean, if you don't think you're living in a volatile and exciting time, read the papers. What does that mean? All those things about what are the threats facing us and what do we do about it. What I'm trying to do is give you a very quick, once over lightly, international, regional, national context to then ask sort of this question. So what for us? How do we spend the very defined, limited amount of money that we have to invest across a range of possible futures and a range of capabilities? We have about $26 billion a year to spend. Interesting enough, just as an aside, the Department of Veterans Affairs budget is $12 billion a year. So we spend $26 billion a year doing the stuff that the Australian Defence Force does today, and DEA spends $12 billion a year paying out our people who we heard yesterday doing the stuff that we want to do. Really interesting fact that no one really picks up on. Almost half of the current defence budget is what DEA spend on supporting widows, veterans, and it's an important part to understand our business. The answer to the question about Australia was in our Defence White Paper 2009. And the answer to that is basically a maritime strategy. I call it planes, trains and automobiles. Not too many automobiles, lots of planes, lots of ships. It's really hard for an army guy to really buy into that because I'm looking for the tanks and they're not there. They should be there, it's a bad plan. But the strategic issues for Australia are about sea lines of communication and our influence. Read Alfred's Bay of Mahan for an army boy, and it's a great read, and an army girl, it's a great read. There is a theory that says China is re-equipping and building its maritime capability based on the US model espoused by Alfred Thrale Mahan and the rise of sea power, the influence of sea power in military history. A bit dry, but a very powerful idea. So we have a maritime strategy controlling our approaches to Australia, which will please the government no end. And we're also cutting metal here in Adelaide and South Australia to support that and around Australia. We're retaining the ability of high-end operations, but also being flexible to then deal with some of the other issues. The real challenge for Australia and the Australian Defence Force and our strategy is to be able to walk and chew gum, to maintain the high-end piece and also do that other end, which is actually the regional stability piece, which requires boots on the ground. not to mention warfare amongst the people in most of those places where you're going to fight. Because just think, whilst you're trying to deny the sea air gap, what else might you be doing either forward, or if they do get across the sea air gap? So let me tell you, there's a big, bold future out there for land forces. Our force structure, 12 submarines. Why 12? Interesting question. Air warfare destroyers, amphibious ships, joint strike fighters, AWACS, a whole box of dice giving us that strategic air capability, air warfare capability, and the maritime and amphibious capability. Army doesn't appear as strongly in the white paper as you might think or might want. And there's an interesting question around that. Getting some firepower there. And then we have our emerging threats. Everyone says generals fight the last war, not the next one. So what's the next one going to be? And are we fighting now already in cyber? All of that is to set you a nice little framework for saying the world is a complex place. It's difficult for us to identify what our regional and national aspirations are, and then turn that into a deliberate force structure set of solutions and decisions around a finite budget that's limited and can give you only so much capability. But wait, there's more. Capability is not king. People are king. That's the kings are point. I don't need to be more inclusive in that language, but you sort of get what I mean. All right, there are two quick questions though. This is now getting down to the defence level. This is the level that I've been operating at for the last 4 years, and now we'll talk about in our learning assumptions. The first question we've got to answer for the government is how do we assure the government that we can deliver the defence capability plan? All those planes, trains and automobiles, lots and lots of kit, lots and lots of things to do. That's one question, and that focuses everybody's attention most of the time. And that's an important part of the puzzle. If you can't deliver the kit on time, on schedule, then you're not in business. It's important for industry because they need to pay their people and structure their workforce and their equipment and their material in order to align that. And we need to buy on time so we can synchronise that with as we bring in equipment into capability. But equally important, but not as public and not discussed because it's not quite as exciting, is the people capability. How do we assure that not only if you delivered all the kit on time, how do you know we're going to have the people, how can you assure government that we're going to have the people with the skills that they need to operate that equipment? Not just operate it, not just drive it around, but actually fight it and win it. You can have first-class equipment and a second or third-class force. The distinction between people on the battlefield is not the equipment, it's the people in the equipment. So people are the essence and the centre of gravity of capability. It is not Gucci, it is not where people think they want to go, but if you don't understand people, you don't understand warfighting. You don't understand our business and our profession. Just a simple example of why we don't always get the people bit right. We're buying 12 submarines. I've yet to get a good answer. Does 12 submarines mean 12 crews? That's no workforce sense. Now some people, clever people say, no, because you're always going to have 4 in sort of full cycle docking, so you only need 8. But if you need 8, is that 8 on station at a time? And if it's 8 on station at a time, does that mean actually 16 crews? Because you need 2 crews so they can be out on station. How do you actually do a relief in place of submarines anyway? And does that mean a third one backing up? Does that actually mean 2.5 crews? And so if it's 12, is it 12 crews, 18 crews, or actually is it 25 crews? Or is it only 4? And just imagine the operational context in which we need this capability, then how many crews are we really going to have, and have we answered that question? Really simple question, just ask it everywhere. You'll confuse everybody, you'll trap people, but it's a fundamental and profound question with the capability that we are about to spend a significant proportion of our capital procurement budget on, and we don't know how many crews that means. And don't use today's example of how many crews we've got right now, because it won't help you. So if I'm getting across to you that the people side of this stuff is quite a powerful piece. That's just the people numbers stuff. There's more to it than that. People capability. Very briefly, people capability. I wrote a companion review to our white paper in 2009 on the workforce. My question was, how do we deliver the workforce we require for Force 2030? And I came up with a model of people capability, and I became the first head of people capability. I called it people capability because it had capability in the title. And capability is king and queen, so maybe that's 2 Qs of capability. Because I had capability in my title, I got invited to a whole lot more things. People in DMO started speaking to me because they thought I must be important because I had something to do with capability. When I was just a people guy, no one talked to me because I was just